I have a question for you, and it's a simple question. It's this: what is so frightening about Paranormal Activity? And I asked that question as somebody who saw the movie and admired it, was impressed by the way that they'd put a movie together with such little resources, and they'd been very inventive, but fundamentally was not scared by it. Now, when I saw Paranormal Activity, as you may know if you've seen my review, which is here on the Kermode Uncut blog, I thought, well, you know, it comes out of a tradition of movies that use that whole idea of verite found film that goes back to Cannibal Holocaust, goes back to Last Broadcast, Blair Witch Project, most recently Cloverfield. There's a film in the cinemas at the moment called The Fourth Kind. All of these films use footage which is meant to be documentary, and you're meant to believe that it's completely real. And if you know enough about horror movies, you've seen this before. You've seen the idea of the locked-off shot with the time code running in the side, so it looks unprofessional. It looks like it must be real news footage, and somehow this is meant to make you feel that what you're seeing is genuine, it's not artifice, and that's meant to make it more engaging and more scary. And the first few times it does. The first time I saw Cannibal Holocaust, I really hadn't seen that found footage thing done before, and I was quite shaken by it. Blair Witch, I thought, did the whole thing brilliantly, but now it's become a bit old hat, and we've seen it all before. So I sat there watching Paranormal Activity thinking, you know, this is well done. That idea of the single shot of the bedroom in which you really have to look closely at the frame to see which part of the frame the tiny thing is going to be happening in. I thought that was very well done. I kind of believed in the central couple's relationship, but at no point did I think that what I was watching was real. And consequently, at no point did I think I'm genuinely scared by this. I mean, certainly not in the same way that I was by The Exorcist, which I know isn't real, but I still think the artifice is terrifying. And I thought, what must be true is, if you don't know horror films, if you don't like horror films, if you're not grounded in the history of horror films, this would completely catch you off guard, and that's why it would be scary. But if you did know about horror films, you'd feel the same way as I did, that you'd be impressed but not scared. So it didn't surprise me to find out that James King, who is younger and more fragile and more innocent than I am, was terrified by the movie. But it did surprise me that people like Nigel Floyd, very good friend of mine who writes for Fangoria magazine and knows his way around the horror territory, was also upset by Paranormal Activity. And it's put me in a real quandary, because the thing is, I don't like not being scared by horror films. I do go to horror films to be scared. I like being scared, and so few of them manage to do it that when one does, it's a real thrill. Most of the time they don't, generally because for every one good movie you have to sit through 25 not quite so good movies. So I look for the one that's going to be scary. And yet, all the way through Paranormal Activity, I thought, well, it's not scaring me, therefore it's not doing the thing it's meant to do. But I keep meeting people who've not just been frightened by the movie, but genuinely creeped out afterwards. People who couldn't sleep, people who had weird nightmares, people who felt genuinely sort of as if something uncanny was going on around them in the wake of the film. Very much, incidentally, like the reaction that people had when they first saw Exorcist back in 73, 74, that the film had somehow stayed with them for nights and days after that screening. And I just don't understand it. And I'm sure that I'm missing something. Because for me, judging by the reaction that those people have had, it's almost like I watched the movie in a foreign language. Like I watched a film in French. I recognized the language, but I didn't really understand it. I didn't really get it. I was never inside the drama. And the more I think about it, the more it's bothering me. What didn't I get? What am I missing? Why is Paranormal Activity scaring some of you so much? Please tell me.